What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Pure Evil MMA. I'm your host, as always, Evil Eddie, wrapping up a crazy weekend with so much anticipation. I mean, UFC London, hashtag UFC London. I keep telling all my friends this. If you're not on Twitter, you're missing out. Now, some of the discussions tonight that I've had with a lot of friends over the years on Twitter don't necessarily enjoy the tweets popping up on screen, especially during a pay-per-view. They don't really care what anyone else has to say. They want to sit down and enjoy the fights. Well, I have a whole different take on it. And this episode, as you know, because you're tuning in, I've titled Why MMA Fans Didn't Like UFC London. Now, as I sit back here, and me knowing my fans, and me being an MMA fan myself, I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed tonight. It was a Disney moment. You couldn't get a Disney team together in the 1950s or 60s and write an MMA movie better than this. The outcome, the rising stars in development, Paddy The Baddy, Molly, Meatball. I mean, this entire card, Allen, Hooker, Volkov, Aspinall, it just went on and on with chaos and violence at the O2 Arena. Now, one of my favorite moments at the O2 Arena was on Michael Bisping's birthday, and I gotta say the commentary team tonight was so-so. You know, I kind of miss Dan Hardy back there, but that's another story for another day, or maybe we'll get into it today. So thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Pure Evil MMA. We have so much to get into, and I'm not gonna lie again, didn't mind the card starting a little bit earlier than normal, because especially if you're out in the UK, you know, over here by New York, I'm in New Haven, Connecticut, cards usually start at 6 o'clock. So over in the UK, you guys have to drink tons and tons of coffee or do too much cocaine that you're sent to rehab, and then you're cut off from the world of MMA for months, and it's just word of ear. You don't even have your phone. But tonight, let alone this year, 2022, the MMA gods have blessed us, and it couldn't have gone any better. Even Gunnar Nelson making his return, Meatball Molly, Ilya Tupuria, and I know you're going to butcher me for getting his name wrong, Paddy The Baddy, Arnold Allen. I mean, this entire card was absolutely amazing. Even the lead up to it, you could feel all of the energy as we entered this card. Dana White said it after the fight. Man, he is so pleased, because what usually happens, guys, the MMA gods come down with a rain of fire and they destroy everything. Imagine if Paddy The Baddy lost again tonight. We almost did see that, because in his first fight, and Michael Bisping called him out, even though Paddy won in his UFC debut that we waited years for. Let's not forget him going on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani. We waited years for, and he needed a little bit more time over there, overseas. He's finally here. He almost loses his debut. He almost lost the fight tonight. We're going to get into that and so much more. The tweets that were coming out were absolutely fire. It was just one of those cards that I really don't think we will forget when we do the end of the year awards show. We got so much to get into. So with that being said, guys, let's get into our top 3 of UFC London. Here we go. So our top 3 headlines, if you're watching this on the video cast, Dana White quoted, "We're coming back." This year, as it couldn't have been any better. It really couldn't have been any better. There were 9 bonuses. There was a $4.5 million gate. There was 17,000 people in attendance with 12 bouts. And guys, this wasn't even a pay-per-view. And if you're watching the video cast, you see on screen our boy Mac Malley. Shout out to Mac Malley. Man, there's just so much to get into here because, even when Meatball Molly made her debut with the UFC, we were a little unsure how she was going to be able to handle it. And tonight, man, she went in there like an absolute monster. I mean, I even tweeted out she should walk out to Aqua Teen Hunger Force. She went out there and she kind of blew her load. It reminded me of last week's event just a little bit, but she was able to recover. And going into round 3, she was able to pull off what I would call a Yair Rodriguez finish. If you guys remember, Yair Rodriguez taking on the Korean Zombie. I mean, Molly McCann really set things off for Paddy The Baddy. They showed backstage Paddy The Baddy's reaction, the build-up throughout the entire week. Paddy saw, I think it was Ilya Tapuria walking in as, they have the Fighter Hotel, and Paddy The Baddy threw hand sanitizer at him, because the story behind that Ariel covered on the MMA Hour was Paddy The Baddy was sitting there behind the table. He walks in with a group of guys, and Paddy was just saying, "What's up?" So, as an MMA media member, I can understand that. You don't know these fighters. You may be under contract with them. It's like, imagine you work for Zoomies. I used to work for Zoomies, right? And sometimes they would send me to this location, that location. You don't know the people, but you guys are all, pretty much a family. It's almost like the commentary team for the UFC. Sometimes you have Joe Rogan. Sometimes you have, Dan Hardy, Paul Felder, Bram Fitzgerald, Brian Stan, who no longer worked with us. But, he was just saying what's up, and he took it the wrong way. I believe it was Ilya Tapuria who climbed to 12-0 tonight as he beat Jai Herbert, which was an amazing fight. I mean, this is one of the cards that you couldn't make any better. I mean, Molly McCann going against Luana Carolina. We're going to get into that. Gunnar Nelson, who, back in 2015, 16, 17, had an amazing run. I think he was on a 4-fight winning streak when he came into the UFC, but then it got a little rocky, I believe, after he fought Damian Maia as he got into the upper echelon. And when that fight started, Sato, who was actually, he's no joke. If you look into him, he was 16-4 going into this fight. He had that wide stance. Gunnar Nelson played his ground game and still over at SBG Ireland. Paddy Pimblett after that. The main card, Arnold Allen, Tom Aspinall, who we need a DNA check to see if he's related to Frank Mir. But this is an entire night that it really seemed really scripted, if you ask me. It couldn't have gone any better for the people out in England, especially now that they're back. It's been a long time since we've seen people enter the O2 Arena. It's been a really long time. Seeing Michael Bisping there too, as well, with the memories he had over at the O2 Arena. I don't know if you guys remember this, how diehard that you guys are. But on Michael Bisping's birthday, this is one of my favorite moments. Michael Bisping's birthday, he goes in there to fight Anderson Silva. The unstoppable Anderson Silva. During a time when Anderson, he lost to Chris Weidman twice. The infamous leg break that it's just so unbearable to even watch. After that fight in Nick Diaz, where Nick Diaz is caught laying on the ground, kind of making a mockery of Anderson Silva, and then he gets banned for 2 years. But Michael Bisping stands up, and it's where Michael Bisping's career made a huge turnaround. And it went down at the O2 Arena. The energy there, when you see the UK enter this place, you don't want to see. Say, for instance, check this out. And we've seen this happen before. I've talked to thousands of fighters about this. especially at regional shows, you see a group of guys, let's say Joe Lozon's gym, right? Who I believe is fighting on the next card. He has tons of guys fighting at his gym. When he goes to Cage Titans, he's got about 4 or 5 guys on the card, right? Your first guy loses, your second guy loses. It brings the energy down. As soon as we saw Meatball Molly go in there in the 3rd round, I mean, that very first round that she had, she blew her load, but then she held back. It's kind of like, we've learned over the years, and especially with Dustin Poirier, the Diamond, Dustin Poirier, it's a lesson that he's learned over the years, where you just want to bite down on your mouthpiece, go in there and throw your fisticuffs, finish the fight when you see that your opponent is rocked. And nonetheless, Luana Carolina, I kept tweeting out, watch for the clinch, followed up by the knee to the chin of Molly. That's how I expected it to go down. But Molly did an amazing job getting this finish. And in the 3rd round, with a spinning back elbow at 1 minute and 52 seconds. 1 minute and 52 seconds of the 3rd round. Without the takedowns in the first, I didn't know how I was going to score this, especially going into the 2nd round. Came down to the 3rd. And Luana Carolina, with her Muay Thai skills, she had I believe it was a 7.5-inch reach advantage over Meatball Molly. And Meatball Molly showed no fear. She went in there and did what a UK girl does. And if anything, that shows that she is ready for the next step up in competition. Now you can look at me and be like, it was a Brazilian Muay Thai fighter that not many people know. Go watch some of her fights. She was 8-2 coming into this. Meatball Molly was 11-4 going into this. I mean, whoever is setting up these matches, the matchmaking in 2022, it comes down to a science. And I saw a lot of people tweeting out tonight, and even on my last podcast, I was saying that, MMA math, it just does not work. It just does not work. There was a lot of huge underdogs that I was actually against. Illa Topuria, El Matador, 12-0, the lightweight division. He signed from Brave CF in 2020. It's now 2022. He's now on an 8-fight win streak. It's his 4th UFC fight, 4 wins, and 3 finishes. Meatball Molly, on the other hand, this was her very first finish for the UFC. We've seen her lose to Jillian Robertson in her debut, who, I interviewed Jillian Robertson before that fight, and Jillian even said, I'm calling it right now. I'm going to finish Meatball Molly. She has no idea what she's up against. When she takes me on, I might be a young, up-and-coming fighter who you guys might just know me from Justin Gaethje's team on The Ultimate Fighter, who told me I should work more with my striking instead of my ground game, but she chokes out Meatball Molly. Now, if you come into the UFC and you lose in your debut, it could be devastating, absolutely devastating to your entire career. Look at last week with the guy who entered the UFC who has a former win over Israel Adesanya. He had a lot riding on that because the whole goal of him being signed, I'm not saying that he's not a talented fighter, but it was the storyline that was leading up to the fight with Israel Adesanya. He's already beaten him, so what more can he do? Can we get him back to the point where we can get him face to face with Israel Adesanya? That was the big question. He goes in there and he blows it. For Molly McCann to step in there. And you can compare this to Paddy The Baddy, like I brought up in the intro, which I forgot to bring up. Follow me on Twitter at evil_echo. Subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/pureevilmma. And most of our listeners here are actually on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and the audio podcasts. But listen, Paddy the Baddy, as mad as we were on that interview that he had with Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour, where a lot of news is broken, we thought after the huge win that he had, we were going to see him sign with the UFC. Just like we saw with Conor McGregor. I mean, Cage Warriors has brought over tons of people, kind of like the LFA, right? I guess you can say Bellator, but not necessarily, because Bellator has a lot of more developed fighters that have come over. Eddie Alvarez, Michael Chandler, Volkov, or was it Volkov? I think it was Volkov that came over. You pick it. But with Cage Warriors, we wanted to see Paddy the Baddy come in there. Guy's great on the ground, great on his feet. And we wanted to see him make a splash. I think it was genius for him to hold off. Because like he said, there's tons of guys over there that are up and coming. You see a lot of regional fighters they take these amateur fights. Some of them taking 20, 30, 40 amateur fights to prepare, because once you become a professional, it's not like baseball or the NBA or soccer or whatever other sport, hockey. At the beginning of the year, the beginning of the season, you don't get a fresh new start starting 0-0. Like Molly had to go through, making her debut. Oh, you're not UFC caliber. We saw it with Justin Gaethje making his debut against Michael Johnson, where Michael Johnson, leading up in the press conferences, kept telling him, bro, you're coming from World Series of Fighting, now known as the PFL. You're coming up from the C League. You have no idea what you're in for once you step inside the octagon. And we've seen plenty of cases just like that. Plenty of them. Guys think they're tough. They'll step in there. They think they got what it takes to become, a UFC champion. I guess you can take Brock Lesnar out of that equation, as mad as that makes a lot of you. But Paddy the Baddy putting it on hold only led up to this moment. And if you tuned into the last episode of Pure Evil MMA, you heard me talking about the Book of Life, how the last card couldn't have been scripted any better. In life, we get ups, we get downs. But with those downs, we can always look forward to the times when life opens up a little crack of its window, and you get to look out and see the beauty, the hard work that you have put in to reach that moment. It's heaven sent. And you wouldn't have had that if Paddy the Baddy entered any sooner. Tonight was the night. We had COVID just, take over the entire planet for the last couple of years. Returning to the O2 Arena tonight, this was a Disney fairy tale. It really was. Paul Craig going in there, getting the submission via triangle choke in round 1. Jack Shore, which I don't really understand why he was so low on the prelims. This is another thing I keep bringing up to a lot of you guys, which I don't understand why the UFC does. There's a lot of people, when you tune in, I understand this wasn't a pay-per-view. But when you tune into a fight, say for instance boxing or, when I was growing up, the WWE, which was known as the WWF at the time, you would wait until you got to the main card. I don't even know if the WWF had a main card, but you would wait for the last 4 or 5 fights, right? And then you would get to see all the superstars. Jack Shore 16-0. Yeah, he won via decision. Yeah, his opponent 18-2 going into this. But guys, when you get into the UFC, I don't understand how you can sit on your couch. I mean, as I'm sitting here in my studio and I have, this and that and this and the other thing to say, I understand. We have a lot of overweight reporters who ask the same cookie cutter questions over and over again. They don't highlight the amazing stories, and a lot of people like to pick on them. Even this week, we saw, on the MMA Hour, somebody who I've worked with backstage with Mark Ramundi, and I'm not even name drop or anything, but they weren't the ones asking Matt Mitrione the ballsy questions like I was, but it takes a certain amount of courage to step into a cage to compete. Shout out to Bloody Elbows, the Eddie Marcarda, which I met at World Series of Fighting. He steps into competition. Robin Black as an example. Brennan Schaub as an example. The list can go on and on. But when you see somebody like Ariel Helwani throwing out their opinions, saying, oh, I didn't like this, I didn't like that, this was the wrong decision. Chris Weidman, why would you ever throw a spinning back kick against Luke Rockhold and ruin your career? Which we did see Meatball Molly kind of attempt, but a lot of people don't enjoy that. And Jack Shore, if I remember correctly, I may be crazy, I've lost my mind at this point, I am 32 years old. I believe he started on a reality show, if I'm wrong. CM Punk coming over from WWF, he didn't do too well. He was fighting journalists, he was fighting CM Punk. Not CM Punk, he was fighting Mickey Gall and then Michael Jackson, right? Was it Michael Jackson? Was that his name? Who was actually a reporter. Dana White went in on him saying he was playing with his food. But when I interviewed Bilal Muhammad said, as he was training with CM Punk, this guy's the real deal, he's serious. There's a lot of people out there, Jack Shore being one of them, Kimbo Slice being another one, Matt Mitrione at one point being somebody that everybody overlooked, saying, oh, this guy's coming over from football. He used to play on the New York Giants. We didn't even know who he was on the Giants. Greg Hardy, which we discussed on the last podcast, being somebody coming over from the NFL, which I went into deep detail over. But then you see guys like Ian Heinisch, right? Ian Heinisch, he was just a punk. He was just a punk who was on the run from the law. Finally got arrested after, selling ecstasy, going overseas, and he was running. And at some point in his life, while you're on the run, and if you guys are big as fans as I am when it comes to unsolved mysteries, when you see your face on TV as a wanted man, how long can you go without facing the consequences? Is that your life? Does it end right there? Are you going to have to keep running? Is that what you're going to have to work on? We have fighters in there like Jared Flash Gordon, who I've discussed over a couple of DMs, over a lot of relatable things, even us both losing a close friend, Sergio Da Silva. And I even have a tribute episode for Sergio, who unfortunately taken his life a little bit too early. I was even doing a podcast with him at the time that happened. And I don't know the full story of what happened, what led him to that point, but he found himself in a situation, and I'm talking about Sergio Da Silva here, where he was known as the MMA fighter that fought for Bellator that allegedly robbed a bank. Then John Gotti Jr. stepped in, had his back, paid for the lawyers, and eventually was able to get him out of that situation. He was very close friends with Jared Flash Gordon. And if you know Gordon's history, without me pulling up the internet, if you're a true MMA fan, And you know Flash, you know that he struggled with opiate addiction. Even while he was fighting, he was cutting weight while going through withdrawals. Now, if you don't know what especially opiate withdrawal is like, it is one of the worst feelings you could ever go through in your entire life. Imagine having COVID and the flu times 10. Now imagine having to go cut weight, sit in the sauna while you're sweating your balls off. I remember when I was going through withdrawals, and the second that I would feel a heat flash, like menopause, I would just freak out. And you will do anything that it takes to get your hands on opiates, to get rid of it. And that will only take 12 hours. Once you get your hands on that substance, you're immediately thinking of, who am I going to screw over? What am I going to have to do to make sure I don't end up like that? How long can you live your life like that? Day after day, hour after hour. Now, Ian Heinisch, Jared Flash Gordon, they took that and they turned it around. Turned himself in. Jared Flash Gordon gets sober, and he works towards something with meaning. Because life, when you think that you're at the lowest, will always open up a window. And tonight with UFC London, it was exactly that. Here in 2022 is exactly that. If we saw Paddy Pimblett get signed years ago, we would never have this moment. You don't know how things would ever play out. The script is in your hands. And as I was talking about just 5 minutes ago, I've seen regional fighters go in there, under Joe Lozon's gym. They go under Randy Costa, I believe, who trained. Even Joe Giannetti, who was on The Ultimate Fighter, makes it to the finale. He's right there, thinks he's going to get the contract. And nope, it's gone right before you. Joe Lozon going in there trying to train his fighters. And, the first one loses, the second one loses. And it really brings the energy so far down. Tonight was the absolute opposite of it. Aspinall going there, Paul Craig going in there. This was one of those cards that's going to stick out for such a long time. Such a long time. And how about Gunnar Nelson? Can we give a shout out to Gunnar Nelson? Because he is somebody I've always enjoyed rooting for. And I'm really pissed that I did not place any money on this card. Gunnar Nelson, 33 years old. And if you guys remember the come up of Conor McGregor and Gunnar Nelson, and how SPG Ireland was just blowing up at the time. Artem Lobov, the GOAT. Where is he now? BKFC. Gunnar Nelson, I was getting worried for him. Let's see over here. I have Tapology up. Let's take a look at Gunnar Nelson's previous record before he had this fight against Soto. I even believe I wrote it down. From 2012 to 2014, he had a 4-fight win streak. Right now, he's 5-5. He's 5-5 since. Going into this fight, he was a -520 heavy favorite. Sato, 21 fights, 5 losses. He's lost to Bilal Muhammad. He's lost to Baris. He's lost to Gunnar. It was no joke. It was not a joke for Gunnar Nelson tonight. If we saw Gunnar lose, let's take a look over here as I got. And you know what? Let me bring you guys to the internet here. Let me bring this up, slow this down. Hopefully my stream is still going well. All right, it is. Let me bring up Tapology so you guys can actually see it here. And let's bring up Gunnar Nelson's record here. Yes, unanimous decision. Why do, in my mind, do I think that he finished the fight? Why do I feel like that's wrong? Going into this fight, he was on a 2-fight losing streak. He lost to Gilbert Burns. He lost to Leon Edwards. And yes, very tough fighters. But guys, it's been 3 years. It's been 3 years since he last fought. Now, did any of you see ring rust with Gunnar Nelson? Because every time he steps in the octagon, I'm always rooting for him. I'm always rooting for Gunnar Nelson. And most recently, he's let me down an awful lot. His last win was in 2018. 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22. That's almost 4 years ago. Well, let's say 3, because it was at the end of 2018. Before that, the Ponzinibbio fight. Remember when Ponzinibbio had all the hype behind him? Then there was like an eye poke. He had a win over Alan Juban via guillotine choke. 46 seconds into round 2. A win over Albert Tumanov. The loss to Damian Maia, which I was just completely bummed out. And that was 7 years ago. That just put a wrinkle on me. Before that, being Brendan Thatch. Before that, losing to Rick Story. Then a win over Zach Cummings, Amari Akhmedov, Jorge Santiago, DeMarcus Johnson, Alexander Potenko, Eugene Fedoria, Danny Mitchell, Sam Elson, Iran Mashanaz, Barry Mares, Nick Trump, Adam Stalinsky, Dries El Pakahara, back to 2007. 2007. Guys, it's 2022. I graduated high school in 2007. Look at the career path. Look at the career path of Gunnar Nelson. He really needed this victory. And I know there's a ton of you out there that are stoked. This is almost like a Shogun Hua moment, a Glover Teixeira moment, where you almost kind of count them out. You don't think they're going to make a comeback. You don't think they're going to make a turnaround. Gunnar Nelson needed this victory, and he got it. That put a smile on my face. Before that, Molly McCann bringing the energy. Before that, Ilya Tupira. And yeah, you guys can say that was quite obvious. You can't say anything is obvious in mixed martial arts. You really can't. Paul Craig getting the win. Jack Shore getting the win. This entire card being free nonetheless, with a $4.5 million ticket revenue, 17,000 people in attendance, 9 bonuses, guys. 9 freaking bonuses. Now let's jump over to Twitter, because inside my bookmarks, there was a lot of them. I mean, Paddy The Baddy going in there, getting the victory, doing his Pee Wee Herman dance. We were all dancing along there. And how about, I had to tweet this one out, because I kind of found this a little disgusting. Drinking 2 beers from the crowd. You don't know if they poured LSD in there. You don't know what the fans are dropping in their drinks. And I know that Tai Tuivasa, he'll let people spit in it. He'll let people spit in it. But Tom Aspinall, was it Tom Aspinall that did that? Yeah, I believe that was Tom Aspinall walking out. He said, you know what? All I want to do is drink some beers. And as he's walking out, he drinks 1, then 2 fans hand him 2 beers, and he just freaking slams them. Am I going crazy? Was that Tom Aspinall? Let's see. Where are we here? Yep, Tom Aspinall. Now, call me crazy, but during COVID-19, back at the O2 Arena, say what you will about Tai Tuivasa spitting in a shoe, having a fan spit in a shoe, but I wouldn't be surprised if a picogram of anything gotten to this. All you need is a picogram this day and age, and you're busted. That's all you need. A picogram of cocaine. You know, a lot of these fans are stinking cocaine. Who knows if fentanyl's in there? Who knows if MDMA's in there? You don't know. You have no idea. But this was pretty badass to see, so shout out right there. Scrolling down here through some tweets. Aspinall just showed so much skill in such a short time. Best heavyweight to watch, says Roddy Fuller, at Roddy_Fuller. Anthony tweeting out, just make it a double beer. I mean, the tweets that you guys put out, if you are not on MMA Twitter, hashtag MMA Twitter, you're just losing out. I keep trying to tell all my friends, you can become part of all the action. Now, Jetty Goodman, let's see if he's following me. Nope, still not following me. I don't know why Jetty unfollowed me, but longest active win streak in featherweight division. Passes Alexander Volkanovski. Is Arnold Allen, ranked number 7. Mohad Foudalat sending out a tweet. Now, I interviewed Mohad Foudalat years ago, and I believe it's the only interview he's ever done on media. And this is when he first started. It might even be 5 years ago. I remember I was in my mom just bought a house, and I was in one of the rental rooms. I had everything all set up. I had Mohad Foudalat on, and I was so excited. I wanted to hear his whole story because he had people like Joe Rogan tweeting things out. Everybody that's anybody was tweeting out his videos. And along the way, something happened where he's not as popular, but he still is one of my favorites. Mohad Foudalat tweeted this photo out. I retweeted it on my Twitter at evil_echo. I love everything about this kid. And it's a photo of Dana White wearing the wig of Paddy Pimblett. Kind of like a Habib moment when Habib would wear the old hash. Shout out to Jason Hagholm, who I've been friends with for years in the Media League. It's Paddy the Baddy time as he sends out an Owen Hart gif. Now, Paddy the Baddy is known for the faces that he makes that we turn into gifs. Ladies and gentlemen, the UFC tweets this one out. And if you're not watching this on Pure Evil MMA's YouTube channel, you're missing out, guys. We just hit 3.06 subscribers on the YouTube channel. Why are we getting thousands of downloads on the audio, but not on YouTube? I don't understand. I must be that ugly. Just tell me. Just tell me if I'm that ugly. ESPN MMA tweets out, England is ready to come together, as said by one of my favorite bands. One of my favorite bands that's opened my eyes when I'm in my LSD world. But they use the famous cover photo of one of their albums with all the fighters out in England crossing the road. And it was one of them. They all came together. They all got the win. Now, tweet of the week. Let's get into our tweet of the week, which you all enjoy. All right, guys. So this week's tweet of the week is going to The Art of War 6. So at The Art of War 6. Everyone after Paddy Pimblett's win. And man, if you can send me a photo of yourself dressed up like this, this is a... Oh my God. This is the best. If I have a son, this is what I'm going to be doing. It's a photo of a father and son, both with a Paddy Pimblett haircut. Both in bright orange shorts, like old school Nickelodeon style orange. Both of them with their shirts off as heavyweights, so God bless them. Throwing up their UFC gloves in cheers of Paddy Pimblett. That's die-hard fandomship right there. Those are the fans that you gotta love. That's why I love this sport. There's no poking fun of anybody. Unless you have some crazy thing to say, or you slip up like I do and pronounce a name wrong here and there after I've drinking a couple of beers, or I was out of the loop for a little bit because of my depression, which I hope you can all respect. But I'm back in action, and these are the nights that I want. These are the nights that will clear depression. Fuck a pill. Fuck a pill. I want a son that dresses up with me in neon orange shorts with a nice big beer belly and that bowl cut. This is the exact bowl cut we see in Kingpin. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember Kingpin, but this is the Amish haircut. So between the Amish haircut and the Habib Abraham Lincoln beard, let's please bring that back. I'm going to make a bet here, guys. I'm going to make a bet. If we can reach 1,000 views on our... No, scratch that. If we can reach 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, youtube.com/PureEvilMMA, we're at 3.06 subscribers. If we can reach 4K, I will dye my hair blonde, I will get the Paddy Pimlet haircut, and grow out the Abraham Lincoln beard. Let's see if we can make that happen. I'll clip this tweet, and hopefully you guys will share it. All right, moving on. Seems like a lot of you won a lot of money tonight. Kind of jealous I didn't. Son does not look pleased. So in that same photo, maybe I didn't see that. Oh, they're right, though. They're absolutely. So, shout out to gballa50 at GBALLA50. Replying to The Art of War 6. Son does not look pleased. Looks like Dad made him dress up like this. But, listen, when I was his age, he looks like he's 6 years old. This has to be tweet of the week. If I was 6 years old, this kid is just thinking in his mind, man, this poor kid. I feel for him. I didn't realize it at first, but he had to sit in front of the camera and do this pose. And you know what? Back in the day, there was this kid that used to ride around New Haven, the city of New Haven, Connecticut, on his bike. He had one of those backpacks that would play music, and he would just ride around trying to gain attention. But he would wear UFC gloves. Instead of, when I would go quadding, you would wear the gloves so your hands don't get all torn up. I think they were like No Fear, or I forgot brand names and stuff like that. But Dad made him put on the UFC gloves, and Dad's wearing the OG gloves. Wow. It was a real... with the red print. But he made him take his shirt off, which he probably wasn't pleased with. Both with the haircut. This is the most embarrassing picture, but I love it. This is what makes me smile. This is what makes me smile. Years down the road, he'll remember this, because this was a night for the UK. This was huge in 2022. Because listen, if we went to UFC London tonight and we saw some of the biggest stars on the rise, like Molly, Meatball, and Paddy, Arnold Allen going against Dan Hooker, that's a tough fight. And Arnold Allen made it look really easy. Made it look super easy. Tom Aspinall, Gunnar Nelson, Molly, Americani, Pavlovich, Paul Craig, Jack Shore, Muhammad Makiev. The first fight, 58 seconds, guillotine choke over Cody Durden. This was a huge night. A huge night. For the UK fans who usually have to wait up till 2 in the morning to watch early prelims. But the look on this kid's face is just worth going over to my YouTube channel and checking it out. Let's get that retweeted, and I will do my hair just like that. I'll take the exact picture like that, and I'll grow the beard. So, tweet of the week number 2 goes to Jason Williams at JASONEG33. And he say, Maquan Americani still has the best Tapology page. And it's a picture of him sitting there with 4 very good looking blonde women. And he just doesn't want to be there. He looks like the kid with his father in the photo, which is just absolutely freaking crazy. That's both tweet of the week. And just to make sure, just to show you guys that's facts, I'm going to show you here. Right on Tapology. Nope, went to the wrong one. Didn't go to Americani's page. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Come on, man. You're killing me. You're killing me, Killing me, Here it is. Nope. What the heck? Wow, I'm going blind. Like Corn would say. Oh, here it is. Maquan Americani. There's your proof. 17-7. Maquan Americani. Best Tapology photo ever. And let's take a better look at this photo here. It looks like they're playing some poker, drinking some martinis. He's surrounded by women. But here's my theory. And I've actually brought this up to a couple of people over the years during interviews. Let me make sure alright, you guys are still up to date with me. Make sure my stream, alright, perfect. So my guess here, and I should really ask a couple more fighters about this, because I believe that if you're preparing for a fight, it's almost like 40 days and 40 nights. Or if you have a 6-week training camp, I believe it's better to not get off, not have sex, not touch yourself before the fight. Because I believe there's a build in testosterone. I believe you'll perform better. But I've also had fighters come back at me and say, maybe it is better to have sex or, get off before a fight because you're more calm, cool, and collected. I'd like to know what you guys think about that, but if there's a photo to go along with that conspiracy that I have, it's Maquan Americani's Tapology, which may be the best Tapology photo that's ever been made. Now, I hope I don't get flagged for this. Another tweet from Culture MMA at Culture MMA_. McCann KO. And I really hope I don't get flagged for this.
Like you talked about, Michael,
with the spinning back
you
elbow,
lose something there. That energy is energy that you didn't use for the fight. You used it on the walkout, which is fun, but you got to be ready for that.
The leg, and then boom! Drops it. 3 minutes remaining in the final round. Molly jumps the fence. They show backstage footage of Paddy The Baddy. And then Paddy The Baddy steps in there and gets his finish. Now let me show you guys my reaction to this. When Paddy The Baddy got the victory, Meatball Molly was front row, sees it happen, and she jumps the fence. She jumps the cage. And nobody stops her. This wasn't like Bellator. When Conor McGregor jumps the cage, pushes the ref out the way. What a moment. What a moment.
Celebration.
Look at them. And you know what? When Molly got her victory, she ran out there and grabbed the belt, ran around the cage. She wants a shot at the title. Henry Cejudo tweets out, was UFC London the best non-pay-per-view in UFC history? Every fight delivered the main card. On the main card. Amazing atmosphere in the O2. And you got to agree with that. So here's the reaction that you all been waiting for. Meatball Molly, Adam Cantarell, and PD_editor. Here it is. Those are the moments we all wait for. When life gets you down, guys. When you think you're having the worst day of your life, you go through a bad breakup. You go through, you get fired from work. You step in dog shit. You have awful thoughts racing through your head. So who's calling me right now? Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me try to reach through my phone for whoever is calling me. Make sure it's not important. What's up, Dad?
Hey, V, where are you?
I'm in the middle of doing a live show on air on YouTube.
Oh, sorry about that. I just did the Big Ron dancing video with it. I'm sending it to you right now. You gotta watch it. You're gonna piss yourself.
What is it?
The Big Ron dance, when he steps on the ground and does the thing.
Big Ron dance? That's why I love my dad. I gotta check Big Ron dance. So my dad's infamous for whenever I'm in an upset mood, he'll call me and be like, you gotta come over and watch a movie. And I believe he's talking about the Greasy Strangler movie. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? The Greasy Strangler. My dad's a huge fan of Napoleon Dynamite and movies like that. But I gotta call him back after this and see what he's saying. But it's moments like that, and even my dad calling me just to cheer me up. It's nights like this. Tomorrow we don't know what's in store. We have no idea what tomorrow brings. We could have the worst day of our life tomorrow. We could end up in a psych ward next week. We could leave tomorrow morning, end up in a car crash, and that's the end of it. That's why not only do I love MMA, not only is that why I say there's no more scars on my arms from sticking a needle in there to get my highs off of opiates, because of MMA bringing that same excitement, helped me wean off of it. But it's moments like this, and you get them once in a blue moon. Let me know the last time that you guys felt this type of energy, because this is kind of especially for a non-pay-per-view event, this is kind of reminiscent of UFC 189. That's exactly what this card reminds me of, is UFC 189, where we had Sinead O'Connor sing out Conor McGregor. We had Aaron Lewis sing out for Minnie Mendez. I shouldn't say that. I really shouldn't have said that. For Chad Mendes, as we were waiting for the Jose Aldo fight. It reminded me of that. But this was a non-pay-per-view event. This had all the energy of the Ultimate Fighter Season 1 finale when I was back in high school. Let me know the last time that you guys felt the energy that we all felt tonight, because it comes once in a blue moon, and I'm ashamed of myself right now that I did not place a bet on all of these fighters, because we could have made some money. So remember, the next time that you're feeling down, that you feel like it's all over, that you'll never smile again, not only do you have to go back and look at my tweets of the week with the dad and his son, but just remember this small window on one random day in 2022 where Paddy The Baddy, where Meatball Molly, where Tom Aspinall, where Arnold Allen. This was one hell of a night. And now you know what we must do. Bring it into our evil eye of the week. So with that being said, let's hit it. Alright, so our evil eye of the week goes to anybody out there that did not watch tonight's fight. No, I'm kidding. I'm absolutely kidding. Tonight's evil eye of the week there isn't one. There is no evil eye of the week because it is just one of those nights that you just have to take in. And with that being said, guys, I have to rate this card, and I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Now you may ask, what could have made it any better? And I got to think about that. What makes a card a 10 out of a 10? There's a couple things that were missing that I really enjoy seeing. I mean, the lead up to this entire week, we had the grudges going between Paddy. There really is nothing negative to be said about this week in mixed martial arts. And in 2022, I guess I can say the only evil eye of the week is really just me pondering, why are the MMA gods treating us so well? Something bad must be happening soon. Because we're never this lucky, unless we're in a simulation. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Pure Evil MMA. Let me know what your favorite fight of the night was. And also, guys, I don't understand why, but we need to get this YouTube channel up to par. I know I got 3,000 subscribers. Get it to 4. I will dye my hair blonde. I'll do the Paddy The Baddy bowl cut live on air. And I'll grow out the Abraham Lincoln beard for you guys. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. And also, if you aren't on Twitter, you're missing out. You're absolutely missing out. Become part of the family. I don't get how people can go on Facebook and enjoy the night. I can understand afterwards going on Reddit and, browsing around. But, guys, Twitter is where it's at. Let me know what you think about the tweets popping up as well when it comes to watching an event. Because I was talking to my friend Jordan, who's also over in the UK, and he says, I don't want to be seeing that. But to me, like tonight, I got to see Big Marcel, who's been on the show. Big Marcel's broken tons of huge news stories on Twitter. He works so hard, and it goes so unthanked by so many people. He's worked years and years. And when you are sitting back and you're watching an event and you see one of your boys pop up on a UFC card, it's like paying homage, showing respect. Because all we do on MMA Twitter or MMA Instagram, if there is such thing, or MMA Facebook, Reddit, the underground, they're showing us respect. Because all we do is promote and excite and conversate. We have something to do with the matchmaking. We have something to do. We have a place in the UFC. And that's unlike any other sport out there. It's an art. And when you see that on screen, and you're like, I know that guy. That's one of my favorite parts. Let me know if you guys are for it or against it. Let me know your fight of the night. And let me know who you think Molly and Paddy should fight next. With that being said, guys, this is Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA. Remember, without evil, there's no purity. White knuckles till the end. Behave yourselves.